Well, welcome everybody. I'm Jeff Anderson. I'm just the host and introduction for today's session on our power of document automation within iManage, and particularly looking at the smarter drafter solution today. So if we can just flick to the next slide. Thanks, Andrew. Who's going to be on the call today? I'm Jeff. I'm the Solutions Director at Office Information Australia. So we're one of the largest and longest serving iManage partners in the Asia Pac region. And we've been implementing iManage solutions alongside a bunch of complementary solutions similar to the one that we're looking at today for many years. Our presenters today will be Rob Mills, the Director of Partnerships at Smarter Drafter, and Andrew McDuff, Enterprise Solutions Manager at Smarter Drafter as well. And Rob and Andrew will be tag teaming today to both introduce us to their Smarter Drafter solutions, their business cases, as well as technically how they operate, and do some demonstrations as well. So I'll pass to Rob and Andrew in a second. Before we move on, just a bit of housekeeping. Jenny will be accepting questions in the questions section, the Q&A section that'll be enabled in Teams during the call. We've got some time at the end of the call for us to actually answer those or take any further questions. And of course, Jen will work through them, ask them on your behalf, and between the three of us, hopefully we can answer them for you. And of course, we'll come back to you if we cannot. If we can just move on to the next slide, please. So just a quick refresher on who OIA are. Many of you will be existing customers of OIA, either from our information management side, but also wanted to talk about our technical services side, because something that's unique about Office Information Australia is that we have both our information management side, where we're predominantly an iManage partner. We do digital transformation, DMS solutions, security, capture, signing, knowledge management. But we also have a division which deals with technical services. So we're a fully qualified Microsoft partner as well. We do cloud consulting and strategic consulting, security, Power Automate, business automation, all that sort of thing as well. So, we like to think of ourselves as a full stack technology partner. And some of the solutions like Smarter Drafter fit into both those areas, and there's a lot of intersecting sort of business requirements between information management and technical services now, which makes us again uniquely placed to help you to find and implement these types of solutions. And just the next slide, thanks, Andrew. So again, we're your digital transformation partner. We do information management. We're talking about iManage, document management solutions. We also do process automation, which is like workflow, business process management, and some of this sort of document automation fits into that process automation sphere as well. We also do things like security, risk and governance. We can do full service IT management. And of course, more recently, we're dealing with sort of artificial intelligence and other automation that we can get through those technologies and solutions as well. Now, why Smarter Drafter and iManage and OIA in particular? So probably this is a bit soon for this slide, Andrew, but I just wanted to sort of, why are we here? So we found that, over the years, our customers, they're using their document management platforms. They've got their documents and their emails and their content secured, well managed, easy to find. But then what's the next step? How do we, automate what we're doing, be more productive, and achieve more with what we've got? And some of the areas there that we found interesting to our customers are document automation, which Smarter Drafter can take care of. And that's sort of come out of both trying to find sort of efficiencies and productivity gains that we'll learn about today. But also we have another number of customers that have got some sort of, legacy solutions, templates sitting in Word or macros that we might have written for you over the years that are becoming increasingly difficult for us to support. And we also know with a whole raft of new applications coming out of Microsoft, a lot of those are going to need to be replaced. So both OIA and our customers are looking for solutions like document automation from vendors like Smarter Drafter, who are really well integrated with both iManage and also the OIA way of doing things. So Without taking it any further, our agenda for today, Rob and Andrew are going to take us through the Smarter Drafter solution with a bit of an overview and key insights for the platforms. Andrew will demo the solution for us. Rob will then introduce us to the clause bank with another demonstration from Andrew. If we've got time, we're going to run through a bit of a real-world case study from Rob, and we've got a bit of time at the end for Q&A. And as a reminder, if you can put any questions into the Q&A task pane. So I'll leave it at that. Welcome, Rob. Thank you so much, and Andrew, and look forward to seeing your presentation today.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. And good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're going to focus on a couple of different deployment patterns for document automation. And I guess the starting point is, why would you consider doing document automation? And look, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm only going to focus on 3 reasons today. Andrew, next slide. The first of those is efficiency. So whilst this forms part of your foundation for the document authoring and management lifecycle, the greatest single contribution that document automation is going to make is to make your operations more effective and efficient. And that's whether it's a small to medium-sized law firm doing one at a time through a forms-based interface, which we're going to demonstrate to you today, or whether it's the largest law firms who are achieving some staggering efficiencies in the way that they're producing documents at scale automatically. I'll talk to that at the end of the presentation. But typically the answer we hear is a minimum of 80%. So a local customer told us recently that what used to take them 45 minutes now takes 10. In the case of, in that single case rather, that was approximately 78% time efficiency gained. And that productivity dividend is something that all firms can take and can action in whatever way that they see fit. Typically, they'll take the efficiency dividend and focus on high value tasks and getting more customers on board. The second major reason to consider document automation is that it's always 100% accurate and consistent. Accurate and consistent to your firm's standards. So in defining automations, you're defining best practice, and automations don't have good days or bad days. They just execute. And so in that, you define best practice, and every time you run an automation, it is to your best practice. And finally, embedded. I think one of the challenges that I see in legal tech is that a lot of new technology presents as another island of technology, another point solution. The whole idea here is that we wanted to make our document automation solution extensible so that it was able to be accessed from commonly used applications. And in this case, iManage, and we will demonstrate the iManage integration to you. So rather than you having to learn a whole bunch of new interfaces as an end user, you can use it directly from an application that you're using on a daily basis. And look, there's lots of other reasons you would want to do document automation, but today just thought we'd pick 3 of those and talk about those. Now, Andrew, if you could go next slide, please. I stress that what you're going to see today in terms of the demonstration will be traditional forms-based document automation. And doing this type of automation is really going to transform the way the documents are produced within your law firm or legal practice area. So I'm going to pass over to Andrew now, who's going to run through a demonstration, specifically a demonstration from within iManage Work 10.
Thanks, Rob. As Rob mentioned, and on that previous slide, today we're going to showcase a demonstration in iManage Work 10, and this really focuses on that embedded piece and becoming part of where Smarter Drafter sits strategically as part of your existing tech ecosystem. So I'm sure the screen to most people in the meeting is one you commonly see, which is iManage Work 10. I'm in the cloud environment at the moment, and I'm sitting in a matter, and here is a folder in the matter. And just by right-clicking on that folder, you'll see there is a new document button down the bottom here. And this opens up my Smarter Drafter menu system. This menu system is completely controllable and customizable at your level, at the client level. And you can simply either search up here or click into a folder to see your documents. Today, I'm going to show a Master Claim Service Agreement document. And we're using this document. It just shows some of the real strengths of SmarterDrafter and the way we can pull and push information and operate within documents. So coming in, we can have guidance throughout this document. Being a demonstration document, I've really built the guidance in this one, particularly around demonstrating the document, but guidance can be built throughout. And you see Rob had a icon around guidance. We actually recently met with a large Queensland law firm with one of their managing directors who's been using SmarterDrafter for some years, and he believes guidance is one of the greatest features of SmarterDrafter. Guidance is, the ability to help your lower performing lawyers and your junior lawyers or staff perform as well as your highest performing staff. So it's putting the knowledge of a subject matter expert in the hands of the whole firm or enterprise. And guidance can be placed throughout the document based on logic, if and when necessary, at time of the actual question. This will come relevant, these highlights, when I run the Word document. Just for today's example, and this wouldn't normally happen on an automation, I've highlighted in the document all the changes that we've made to this document. So you're going to be able to see where logic's affected this particular document. So jumping in, I'm going to use myself today as the example. Now coming down, when I start typing the purchaser's name, you'll see details appear, which pull through all the details. This is one way we can integrate into SmarterDrafter and pull details from another system. SmarterDrafter integrates with a range of practice management, case management, ERP, and CRM systems, and it's ever expanding. And it's one of those ways we can hit that 80% and 78% mark Rob spoke about of efficiencies to firm, and as Chris, our CGO would always talk about, it's the war on rekeying. So coming down to here, we have data validation built throughout. So you may notice there, it's pulling from ABN lookup and it's checking my ABN number versus it. You can see here, we have integration with Google Maps to validate the addresses. Today, I'll leave the fax number blank. It's 2024. And we even have data validation on emails. Pardon my typing today. So firstly down here, this is one of those places where I mentioned we're going to change multiple areas of the document. Probably the most notable when we run the Word document, this will affect the signing boxes on the document, but it affects multiple areas throughout this document, that one single decision. Coming in to the supplier details. And again, using one of our forms of integration, you'll see it's pulled all the information through, and then it's also highlighted that I don't have an ABN number saved on the file. Now, pending what systems you're using and the type of integration set up, we can also set SmarterDrafter Enterprise to push data back through a two-way integration into your system. Coming down and selecting, again, the signing box. So in this particular example, I have set two different ways where we can actually run through the document. So one is using as guidance, as I mentioned, and the other is more of a selection phase, which we'll get to. So this is really adding and removing clauses. And this is, every single one of these clauses is affecting multiple areas of the document, including update tables and contents and referencing in the document, which we'll see in the end Word document. So coming through in this example, we provide some guidance. Now, guidance could be screenshots, it can be videos, it could be links or text as you're seeing today, and then asking for a response to that guidance. And again, the same on this page where there's guidance response. In this particular example here, what we've done is we've added an unsure option. So if you have a junior staff or if you're a legal firm, you have a paralegal or somebody creating a document and they're not sure if you want that piece of guidance or not, this will add this clause to the document, but highlight it throughout the document so that it's very easy on review by a senior staff member to find those areas and fix them or mark the correct answers. And again, similar thing where we're providing guidance and then asking a question and walking someone through the document. Coming through to this section of the document, we're coming through. Here's another way we can put guidance in the way of little information sections, just providing little snippets of information to assist people in crafting the documents. Now, jumping up here, we'll get to a stage where our guidance system shows another way that we can add clauses to the document. And this is done where I've done the demonstration here as the schedule page. So if you don't require the guidance, we can easily just have a multiple selection page. As you can see, some of the options here, we've actually gone through already in the previous questions and it's ticked them. Other ones are ones we could select or remove as required, but you can then put all your decisions on one page and easily make them. And again, that'll affect multiple areas in the document based on logic. And then coming down to here, this is just a really good example of one that we can upload images into Smarter Drafter Enterprise. And these images could be used as a merge field into the document and merge in, or they could be used as an attachment in the document. But for today's example, I'd just like to use a table. The reason being, one, this inserts a table into the document, and the table can ever expand and contract based on the amount of information required. And two, it's going to give us a look at some calculations in the document. So I'm filling out a time card here. Put 25 hours in, I'll put 15 hours of overtime and my base rate of 120. And as you can see here, it's automatically calculated there. Now in this example, and it's giving me a grand total. In this example, I can constantly expand this. So I could add a second time card. And I could keep on expanding that information based on what's required. And as you can see down here, my grand total, even though it doesn't know if there's 1 or 20 different time cards being inserted, will automatically update and insert into the document. Once we get to the end of the automation, I submit the form. It asks for my naming convention of the document. So this is how the name would be saved into iManage. And we've created our Master Claim Services Agreement. And it is now saved into the folder in iManage. If I jump into this folder, here's the document I've just created. Firstly, I'm going to view it through the iManage using the preview screen here, and then I'll jump into the Word document. So just in this particular example, if you remember when I used the placeholder, now these green highlights, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is just showing you where how we've affected this document. So it's going to show all different colors for merge fields and logic when we open up the Word document. But the highlight in yellow here in ABN is a placeholder. This is where I didn't know a piece of information yet, and I've used a placeholder in the document. Up here at the top of the screen, you'll see there's a clone and modify button. What this does is reopens the Smarter Drafter interview sheet. If I would like to create or do an update to the interview or questions in Smarter Drafter. So now I've opened this up. As you can see, I've got my table of contents. And if I needed to make a change, I can easily jump to a section and make that change. Just jump into insurance, select no there, and then I can jump to the end of the document and resubmit. Well, some changes may only be affecting a single line and you may prefer just to update the Word document. As I mentioned, some of these decisions here could be affecting, anywhere between 5 and 40 different places in the document. You think of the table of contents, if it's affecting the signatory, just a party name, how often that is used through the document. It's a really easy and quick way than going through a 50, 60, 70 page document and updating it. I resubmit the form. And now that has updated the form into iManage. It has also created it as a new version of the document in iManage.
Andrew, can you show versions, please? Thanks, mate.
So it's created a new version in iManage. So now just to open the Word document up. So now we'll jump into the Word document, and this is the document we've created. So firstly, I mentioned those highlights. Now, if I zoom right out on this document, you can see all the areas we have applied logic to this document. So while this automation only took around 4 or 5 minutes to create, the end result, as you can see where Rob was talking before about saving a client from 45 minutes to 10 minutes, what we have created in that document. So, and even little things we spoke about, like the signing boxes. We've got the double director signing boxes in this particular example. You can see that it's updated the table of contents in multiple areas in this particular example. Now, you may also notice on the right-hand side of my screen, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. On the right-hand side of my screen, I've got the Smarter Drafter Word add-in, which is available through the Microsoft Store. This is the Smarter Drafter Clause Bank Word add-in, which is a great way to collaborate on clauses. But again, it comes back to that process I talked before about, you spend a lot of time automating documents and creating documents. And yes, automation's for speed, but there's also a compliance factor where you want the documents using the wording of your company. You want the documents aligning with the visions of your company, the tone of your company, and around those preferences. So when we build a document automation, what we're trying to do is get the subject matter expert's mind and put it into the hands of the whole firm by building it with logic into a document. Where that can get lost is in the review process of a document, where somebody comes in and they'll open up an old document to copy and paste a snippet of information or a clause into a document, or make one up themselves that may not align with the company's preferred style guides. This can also be used in the review of documents when receiving a document from the other side. So let's just say this clause here, if I did not like this particular clause sitting under here, I could remove that. I can come over here. Firstly, I could search by word, or I could search by words and filters. Today, I'll use filters. Filters can be completely customized. So I can come in here and select my jurisdictions if I like. I could come down here and select practice areas, which can be customized around your requirements. Or then I could select my categories, which are sub-metadata created by you, which will bring up my clauses. From here, I can preview the clause. And then if I'm happy with it, I could insert that clause into the document. The clause library is a true enterprise product, like everything with Smarter Drafter. So we have roles enabled on it, which means that a user can come in and could request an edit or a change to a clause, but that'll place it through a workflow and an approval workflow. So I may be an end user and want to add a clause to the clause bank. I can select that clause and click Add Clause. This will put it into a workflow or an approval process for either a subject matter expert and knowledge managers to either approve, reject, or change and then approve that clause.
Andrew, can you zoom the Word document a bit for us, please?
Sorry, Rob.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, much more legible. Thank you.
So they can come in and request a clause like this, or you can see here, they could request an edit to a clause. But again, this will be put through a process to make sure that it aligns with the firm's style guides and aligns with the firm's subject matter experts and management's proper procedures within the document. Another feature of the clause bank is here, the lightning bulb, which is our summarization tool. So I can select either bullet points or a paragraph-based summarization, whether I want it standard, long, or concise. I highlight the information. Now I'm just going to do my confidentiality clause, but I could highlight more of the document if I like. And I just click Summarize. And this using a native language will summarize the highlighted area for me. Where then I can copy, or I could insert it into another document if I like. The last features I'd like to touch on is just, I can also in here jump between my submissions that I've created in Smarter Drafter in Word. So I could jump to something like a confidentiality agreement. And from here, I can also send for e-signature from the Word add-in, as e-signatures are integrated into Smarter Drafter Enterprise, meaning that the master template can be mapped with all the required e-signature fields. So documents, once reviewed, are ready to send for e-signature. There's no more dragging it into an application and dragging all your initial and date and signature fields out. They're mapped already.
So I might just summarise what we've looked at so far. We started in an interview sheet, which is representative of how one way in which firms can produce documents automatically using the automation engine in Smarter Drafter. We then looked at the iManage Work 10 integration, and when we say Work 10, it's actually a universal API. So anyone on version 9.3 or above, this integration is native and literally turned on at the click of a button. We looked at the document inside of iManage through the previewer there in order to demonstrate to you the fact that it conforms to version control inside of iManage. If you clone and modify a new version of the document, it's identified as such inside of iManage as a single source of truth. We went out then and looked at the document as it exists in Word. And the reason we work in Word at this stage is because you don't have to teach anyone how to use Microsoft Word. So rather than embed some elaborate proprietary word processing environment inside of the platform, we leverage best practice and standard practice, which is Microsoft Word. Therein, you saw the clause bank product. Clause bank is part of the Word add-in that's available from the Microsoft Store. It's important to say that clause bank is a separate yet tightly integrated product. So you've got the automation engine and the clause bank engine. And the clause bank engine at the enterprise level allows everyone to recommend clauses to a central authority for inclusion in the clause bank. You end up with a single source of truth for clauses this way, and that can be stored directly in iManage as well. And around that process of proposing new clauses, you have an authority process, a workflow where it would go to either the head of knowledge management or chief legal counsel or whoever else is designated to accept clauses into the bank, and thereafter they're accessible to anyone doing draft or review in the future. Whether they're draft or reviewing documents that have been produced inside of Smarter Drafter, or whether they're just documents in general terms. So the clause bank product will actually work outside of Smarter Drafter generated Word content. And so that's where we're at so far. And importantly, again, you see us leveraging the ecosystem that the law firm is familiar with, iManage in this case, and Microsoft Word. I'll pause there, Andrew. Did you want to add anything else to that? Okay, so
no,
back
Rob,
to me. No problem. I wanted to talk to you today. We've been very active both here and in the United Kingdom in acquiring new large law firms, anywhere from sort of mid-tier to large law firms. And we mentioned early that there was 80% savings of time. And that's very, very typical if you're using a forms-based interface. But we have another deployment pattern, and I'm going to describe that in a following slide, where you don't have to enter the details through a form. When you get to very high volume automation, you know, having to enter through a form 500 documents is quite tiresome and time consuming. So we've also defined a new implementation pattern for automation that involves integration with line of business systems. What this has resulted in for this particular law firm, as a case study, they have a single automation that they have built. It took them 2 weeks to build the automation in the no-code environment for a document that is produced approximately 25,000 times a year, so 500 times a week. And clearly, when you get to that scale, entering all of the detail, capturing the detail through a form as a lawyer is quite time-consuming. And so previously, there were 3 scenarios with this law firm. Of the 25,000 instances, a simple case of producing a document using semi-automation in their previous method would take 15 minutes. A moderately complex one would take 30 minutes, and very complex ones would take a minimum of an hour. Now, if you multiply that out, on average, they have suggested that they take on average 30 minutes per document 500 times a week. That's a lot of hours. It's in fact 25,000 hours a year. What they've done is to build the automation on our platform, and they provide the data through the API directly into the automation. And now at the press of a button in their line of business system, it takes no more than 30 seconds to produce each of those documents, no matter how complex they are. So from 30 minutes to 30 seconds. And they're doing that 2,000 times a month, just over. The effect of automation in this case, I am loath to mention that the lawyers still review the automated output, so they don't just accept that it's 100% accurate, but it always is. So we haven't had a case where it is not yet. But the sort of efficiencies they're producing are something like 800 hours a month, 10,000 hours a year back to the business from one automation. And they expect to be live with hundreds of automations by this time next year. And so the power of automation really is around productivity dividends in relatively low volume applications. It's true when you do forms-based automation, but in the higher volume and perhaps moderate value type applications, the payoff can be absolutely unbelievable. And that's a number that they've committed back to me, 10,000 hours a year back to the business from one automation, and it's always accurate. So how do we do this? Andrew, next slide, please. This is a new category of automation. This is a category that we're naming automated digital authoring. And as you can see, if we focus on stage 1 on the left here of this diagram, the top diagram is intake forms. So that's what we just did. That's a traditional method to gather the variable data required to assemble the document. But the new category supports much higher volume of any data. And whether that data is stored, as you can see in the middle diagram in stage 1, whether it's stored in a line of business system, or whether you're using some sort of workflow to bring the data together to inject into the automation via our API. The fact is that we can do automation at high scale, no matter how complex, no matter what volume, and that's at very high scale. And so what happens there is the data is assembled in stage 1. It is directed through the automations that have been defined in the automation engine, so Smarter Drafter Enterprise. It then produces the output. Now, I'm also loath to say that the complexity of that application means that sometimes a single document is produced, sometimes multiple documents are produced, and on other occasions, entire matter or folders of documents are actually produced. So we actually have incredible ability to control the complexity of the automation and the output that it produces. Of course, then it goes into review. We saw the review process before, and then it can be sent off to e-signature or sent for filing in iManage, or sent for printing or mailing in-house, depending on the business requirement in that case. So this is a whole new category. This is where automation is going, a whole new category of automation that allows us to capture data and information to really streamline the data capture process to produce the final documents. And Next slide, please, Andrew. That is pretty much what we wanted to talk to you about today. So thanks for your time and attention. We've gone through the Smarter Drafter Enterprise platform. We've looked at the Clause Bank Enterprise product. We've talked about traditional methods of document automation today, including forms-based automation, but now we're very much into the next generation of automation, and that is automation at scale by direct integration with line of business and other systems. So hopefully that's painted a picture, and I'll hand back to Jenny at this stage. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rob and Andrew, for those demonstrations and the insights. It's been really valuable so far. Everyone, if you do have any questions, if you want to pop them in the Q&A chat now, just so we can get through them and answer them in the session, would be really great. Just a few, we've had one be asked just about the clause bank. So I thought I'd just ask as well, can the clause bank be separate from the product, or is it two separate, or can it be, or does it have to be together?
No, they are both separate products, but they work very well together. So Clause Bank is a standalone product that's available from OIA, and it can certainly be purchased separately.
Okay, perfect. And then, yeah, the question was that it was mentioned that the Clause Bank is stored in iManage. Does a folder need to be created for this, or where is it stored?
I'm going to defer to Andrew on this one.
Thanks, Jenny. Rob, it's stored as a Word document, so you can select the location or the foldering system in iManage you would prefer to store that in. And that goes for even with Smarter Drafter, all our master templates. We view iManage as your single source of truth. So all your master templates are stored in iManage, but cached in Smarter Drafter Enterprise. So you make an alteration within iManage, you click a button, which then uploads it to Smarter Drafter Enterprise.
Yeah, Andrew's made an important point there. The clauses are stored as Word documents, individual Word documents, and we use that because that contains a whole bunch of really important security and metadata information around the Word document as an object that becomes useful for us to track and trace things in the future.
And including, you know, the functionality and your searchability in iManage and things like that. It's all about really respecting iManage as a single source of truth.
Yeah, 100%.
And then we've just had Beth ask, if knowledge assets are stored in SharePoint, can they be accessible via API?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had that question from our large tier one firm. So whilst they do everything in iManage, their preferred platform for clause management is, in fact, SharePoint. We have agreed with them at the appropriate time to do the SharePoint integration as an alternative. So the short answer is it doesn't exist today, but we have demand for it and we have control. Our product is built here in Sydney, in Ultimo in Sydney. Our product development team is largely located here. We own the product roadmap, and we're able to make the commitments for customers on that basis and deliver. In fact, that same customer also asked us for DocuSign integration, which I didn't quite understand at the time. They want a DocuSign integration, even though we have e-signature but built into the platform, which is considerably less expensive than DocuSign. The reason that they wanted to go with DocuSign as the e-signature platform was because that was the standard for their clients, their commercial clients, and they didn't want to really go and have that argument with them. So we've also scheduled, for example, DocuSign integration, which will be delivered early next year.
Perfect.
Short answer to the SharePoint one was yes, by the way.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I just had a question about the intake forms as well. Obviously, the demonstration that Andrew showed was from you as like an internal user. Is there an option that you can send to like a third party, like, you know, like an onboarding client for them to fill out to help you create the documents?
Great question, Jenny. Yeah, there is. So we have intake forms and instruction taking forms, which can be used from anything from matter opening, and then in that, which can be emailed to a client, embedded on a website, embedded on a SharePoint, access to those forms. And as I mentioned, they can be used for file opening, so capturing all that data to open a matter. Then depending the ERP, practice management, case management, whatever CRM you use, we can also push that data back into those systems as well. So firstly, that data will go back into your central system for data, but also all that data collected there goes onto what we call the matter record and is reusable throughout that matter. So again, that's coming back to that war on rekeying. But on any document, you can create an intake and instruction taking form. So if you're missing a piece of information, if some type of matter veers some way where you need more information, you can create an instruction taking form, which again is a client-friendly version of the form meant for gathering data to remove rekeying. And they're really nice, professional looking modern day forms.
Sounds good. Yeah, that was just handy to know because obviously that can help a lot with getting the information you need. I think that's all the Q&As that we have at the moment. Look, anyone, if you do have any other questions that you do want to know about, please feel free to reach out to either myself or your account manager at OIA, and we'll be sure to help out, even get on like a one-on-one demonstration, ask, like, do any questions that you need. Otherwise, I'll pass over to Jeff just to close out the...
There was one more question. Can we pose it?
Yep.
It was I can say so, Rob or Andrew. Do you from Sandra? Do you provide suites of templates such as UCPR?
We do.
I think the answer is yes. So I'll let the guys discuss it a bit more. And there's also both templates from Smarter Drafter as well as third parties have developed sets of templates that can be shipped along with your Smarter Drafter product too. But the team will be able to tell you more about that.
Andrew, do you want to take that?
Yeah, we provide a suite of around 850 documents off the top of my head at the moment, which include court forms and UCPR forms. That is an ever-expanding library of documents that we provide. And all those documents come with those intake and instruction taking forms that Jenny asked about just before and have guidance throughout those forms.
I think I'd add to that makes Smarter Drafter Enterprise useful day one. You turn it on and you've already got automations that you can start to run with. And one thing we haven't done today, but it's worth perhaps for those that might be interested going into an extended session, is how do you build the automation? One thing that we would be really happy to work through with you is our no-code automation builder platform. It's literally deployable to citizen developers or subject matter experts across the business who can then build their own automations. And that means that you don't have to get in a queue for IT or specialist resources who understand the proprietary programming languages to build your automations for you. This is a platform where our end users are building their own automations very, very quickly. As I said before, the one that is generating 10,000 hours worth of productivity dividend for a large tier 1 law firm, that was built in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks after they were effectively live and productive on the platform, they were able to go live with some very, very impressive time-saving automations.
Thanks, Rob. And that's a very good example. And, Smarter Drafter, both Enterprise and Clause Bank is and the templates that come along with it is certainly, fit for businesses of all sizes and all different types of organisations. And case in point, OIA, we are very good at eating our own dog food, as we like to call it. And we're actually going through the process of automating a number of our legacy templates using the Smarter Drafter solution as well. And again, we're not having to engage with developers or do anything there. We're doing it in-house with our team. Jenny's doing a lot of the work there, converting our existing legacy templates over to Smarter Drafter automation, and that's going to really improve our ability to get documents out quickly and also ensure that our documents are consistent and updated as they need to be. So truly is for organizations of all sizes, and the no code low code situation is for real, and we're doing it ourselves. So please feel free to reach out if you want any advice on that. Beth's asked also if we're going to share the presentation. Jenny will put together a cleaned up version of this and send it around to the attendees, I'm sure. And we're likely going to post this up on our YouTube channel once it's done too. So with that, I want to thank Rob And Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. You know, you guys really know what you're doing. Obviously, you've got some good examples of what you have already done and have success in various different organisations, both here in Australia and also with other business partners that are also related to OAA in other countries, which is great. So there's success, there's runs on the board. We're good there. And thank you to all of our customers and attendees. Thanks for your time and attention and the fantastic questions as well. And we look forward to hosting you on our next webinar related to whatever the next topic ends up being.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
No worries. Thanks, Rob.
Everyone.
Thanks,
Andrew. See you, team.